Middleweight is a machine gun. It is a mounted turret gunning down prospects and veterans left and right. That is what middleweight is. It is a sentry gun. And the barrels of that sentry gun are Nasruddin Imavov, Renier de Ridder, Anthony Hernandez, and Caio Baralho. We have more killers in the middleweight division at the same time than any time in history, and the division still stinks. Why does the division still stink? Well, because the driver of the thing the turret's mounted on is Khamzat Chimaev, a guy who I stuck my neck out for a couple weeks ago when I said, you know what? Narratives. Now that Khamzat finally has his visa issues fixed, there is nothing stopping him from going back to his roots of just being a anomaly. I figured Ramzan Kadyrov sent Trump a nice dictator gift basket with some goofy Chechen truffles and a goat, and everything was good to go. Then during the buildup of UFC 319, Khamzat said that after he beats Dricus, he's willing to turn around in October to fight at UFC 321 in Abu Dhabi, which isn't quite 2020 Khamzat, but shit, 2 months and some change in between title fights is leaps and bounds ahead of what we expected. It's leaps and bounds ahead of what you'd expect out of any champion. And when he said that, I was like, holy shit, I'm actually gonna be right about something for once. But in a shocking turn of events, we are a little more than a month out from UFC 321, and I'm staring at this funny-eyed bitch taking on her physical opposite in a who gives a co-main event, when the co-main was supposed to be Khamzat Chimaev versus anybody. And that kind of brings it back around to the current state of middleweight. I stink at staying on topic. But the point that I'm trying to haphazardly make, aside from Khamzat's inevitable inactivity, is that in a division that's chock full of killers, a division that has more skill per capita than any other time in UFC history, it means less than nothing who fights the champion and when. You could throw Nasruddin Imavov in there, or you could throw in Kelvin Gastelum. It makes no difference. Khamzat is going to eat all of them. Right now, if you are competing in the middleweight division, your record means nothing. Your winning streak means nothing. The synthetic muscle drugs that are pulsating through your radioactive kidneys and liver mean nothing. Because at the end of the day, after all your training, after all the sweat driblets roll off your beard, you're gonna look down at your watch and see that it's still Khamzat time. Which would be completely not depressing if the would just fight more than once a year, because then you'd have 2 or 3 guys a year who can at least try. Like, can you imagine if we lived in a world where Chimaev versus Imavov, Chimaev versus RDR, and Chimaev versus Hernandez all went down in 2026, and Dana didn't have to make these goofy matchups like RDR versus Hernandez when Khamzat said he was willing to turn around in October to fight at UFC 321, which is obviously a lie because Renier de Ridder is headlining a week before that, meaning Renier de Ridder was available to fight Khamzat at UFC 321, and there's no reason for that fight not to have been booked unless Khamzat changed his mind, and he changed his mind. He changed his mind, and I physically cannot believe I had faith in him. I can't believe we just got rid of John Jones and now we have to deal with this shit. You've got dumpster trucks full of shitty fighters who are willing to take any fight they're offered. And on the other hand, you've got a handful of elite fighters who won't take fights. You'd think it'd be the opposite. You'd think Khamzat Chimaev would be fighting every other pay-per-view because the skill gap between him and everyone else is so massive. And other than the Gilbert fight, he's taken virtually no damage. So if I was him, I would be racking up as many title defenses as possible before the next Khamzat comes around. And it's not gonna be fruity Khamzat either. It's gonna be some animal from Brazil, and Khamzat's gonna retire before he fights him. Ugh. Boo, middleweight. Boo. Well, not all of middleweight, just the champion. Other than the champion, I mean, if you want to talk about fun, Duplessis RDR may still happen. Nasruddin Imavov may indeed plant a delicious eye poke into Khamzat's corneas, and before he gets eaten, he will have at least taken a chunk. Anthony Hernandez, if he would just stop getting injured. Michael Page comes out of goddamn nowhere. Again, not a chance in hell to beat Khamzat, but I mean, hey, imagine Michael Page versus Adesanya. How cool would that be? Michael Page versus Sean Strickland. Michael Page versus Robert Whittaker. The blitzing of both men, they both blitz, but the style of blitzing is different, so that one might be an interesting fight as well. When you got dudes like Bruno Ferreira, Ikram Aliskerov, Joe Pyfer. Well, whoever wins between Abus Magomedov and Joe Pyfer, I would say, because they've both been fraud checked to an extent. Azamat Bakoyev is number 28. Like, the middleweight division has so many murderers, like all the way down, like Mansour Abdul Malik, Ateba Gauthier, Marco Tulio, Shara Magomedov, Cesar Almeida haven't even broken the top 20. Middleweight is lit. And then you get to the top, and then middleweight is shit. Call me Dr. Seuss.